Good afternoon, students. Welcome you in this online teaching class. Today I would continue the same chapter, the enemy. So yesterday I had the disparity of thought between Sadao and Hannah, and American prisoner was also a little bit worried about that what would happen next. Okay, let's check after that. So here we had that up to here, that he held the boy back to the bed, and then Dr. Sadao held the boy back into the bed. Sadao slept badly that night. Time and time again he woke, thinking he heard rustling of footsteps, sound of the footsteps, the sound of a twig broken or a stone displaced in the garden. These are the sound image had been produced. A noise such as man might make or carry. The next morning he made the excuse to go into the guest room. If the Americans were gone too, then could simply tell Hannah that so the general had directed. Underline this one. Dr. Sadao had made a mind that the next day if he would visit and seen that the Americans were gone, then he could simply tell Hannah that the general had directed. Okay, it was general who had directed, it was his policy. Okay, so I couldn't do anything. But when he opened the door, he was thinking like that. When he opened the door, he saw at once that there on the pillow was the saggy blonde head. Saggy means disrupted here and there. Okay, blondie head here discussed already, blondie. Okay, wait for a moment, student. Okay, so blondie head. So what was his thought and what actually had happened, totally different. So Sada was thinking differently, and what the American actually was there, his twig broken stone was already visible, displaced the garden, noise such as the man might make who carried the burden. The next morning when made the course to the garden, the guest room, the Americans were already there. Okay, and his saggy blonde head was visible. He couldn't hear the peaceful breathing of the sleep, and he closed the door again quietly. He is asleep, he told Hannah. He is almost well to sleep like that. What shall we do with him? Hannah whispered her old refrain. Old refrain means what he had been telling time and time. Okay, refrain. Refrain is part of the any comment. Refrains means song also, but here refrain means what? The comment that she had made past several times. What shall we do with him? Sadao shook his head. I must decide in day or two, he promised. I must decide the fate of that American prisoner in day or in 2 days. But suddenly he thought the second night must be the night. Okay, there rose a wind that night. He listened to the sounds of bending boards and whistling partitions. Okay, Hannah woke too. Ought he not to go and close the sick man's partition? She asked. It not be better to go and then close the sick man's partition? No, Sadao said. He is able now to do it for himself. It is not our duty now. He is okay with. He doesn't have any problem, so he can go and he can do by himself only. But the next morning the American was still there. Then the third night, of course, what happened? Third night, of course, must be the night. What happened? The wind changed to quiet rain. It was raining outside. First it was wind and then it changed into rain. The garden was full of the sound dripping. Okay, sound dripping and running springs. So sound of dripping eaves and running springs, both sounds actually coming. Okay, raining sound, running spring sound, and sound of dripping eaves. What is eaves actually? Eaves are those extra partition of a roof, extra wall of a roof, okay, that is visible through the balcony. So picture I can show you that eaves picture. Okay, this is eaves. This is eaves. Let's check one time. This is eaves picture. This part, see that hanging roof, see that hanging roof on top of the open balcony. This area is known as eave. Okay, now check. So those sounds were coming. Sadao slept a little better, but he woke at the end of a crash and leaped to his feet. Who was that? Hannah cried. The baby woke at that moment a voice and began to wail. Wail means cry. I must go and see. But he held her and would not let her move. Sadao, she cried, what is the matter with you? Don't go, he murmured, don't go. His terror infected her, spread everywhere, infected, and she stood after that breathless, waiting. There was only silence. Together they crept back into the bed, the baby between them. Yet when he opened the door of the guest room in the morning, there was the young man. He was very gay and had already washed. Gay means in a mode of happiness. Okay, it is not sadness, mode of happiness. Had already washed, that means bathed, already cleared his body, was now on his feet, and he could able to walk also. So he was fit, he was properly washed, he was in a happy mode. He had asked for a razor yesterday and shaved himself cleanly, and today there was a faint color in his cheeks. So he was properly washed, he could able to walk properly, and he was definitely proper shaved. Okay, I'm well, he said joyously. No problem with me. Sadao drew his kimono around his weary body. Kimono, that was Japanese dress, already had shown the picture. He could not, he decided suddenly, go through another night. It was not that he cared for the young man's life. No, simply it was not worth the strain. Nothing. It was not he actually was caring for. You are well, Sadao agreed. He lowered his voice. You are so well. While talking to the American prisoner, he said, you are so well that I think if I put my boat on the shore, okay, put my boat on the shore, then what? Tonight, with food and extra clothing in it, you might be able to row to that little island not far from the coast. So now Sadao was thinking differently. What he was thinking, how could he make arrangements for the American prisoner to shore apart, okay, so that he could easily move from Japan. So he was ready to help, or he had already helped as a professional doctor. He treated, he had operated the American prisoner, and now when he was fine, Sadao thought that how could he help with boating and clothing so that the American prisoner would go from that country to go move and settle his own country, that is America. It is so near the coast that it was not been worth fortifying. It has not been worth fortifying. What the fortifying means? Fortifying means preventing from any attack. So there was no actually problem was there. So any enemy would go and come and attack. No. So it was worth fortifying. Okay, and preventing from any attack. Nobody lives it because it the storms in submerged. Nobody lives there. It was totally isolated place, and the storm it is totally submerged. But this is not the season of storm. You could live here until you saw a Korean fishing boat pass by. Okay, you could live there. You would definitely be safe. No storm, no enemies attack, nothing would be there, and you could live there until you saw the Korean fishing boat that would pass by. They pass quite near the island because the water is many fathoms deep there. Fathoms, we know the measurement of the sea. Okay, with the fathoms is actually measurement unit. Okay, through which we can measure the deep of the sea. The young man stared at him, slowly comprehending. The young man understand that whatever the Sada was doing, definitely what? It's too much. He had cared for, operated, and now he had been planning for it. So slowly he was comprehending. Comprehending means understanding. Do I have to? He asked. Do I have to? I think so, Sadav said gently. You understand, it is not hidden that you are here. Everyone knows. So it is not hidden that you are here. So no problem with it. Now I am helping you if you go that side. Okay. So Korean boat would be waiting for you. You could take that and go apart. Let me continue after that. The young man nodded. The young man nodded in perfect comprehension. Okay, he said simply. Sadav did not see him again until evening. As soon as it was dark, he had dragged the stout boat. Stout means strong. You know the stout means bulky figure. Okay, so stout means here what? Large in size, stronger. So it was a large boat. Okay, down to the shore, and in it he put food and bottled water. Underline. Question comes from here. CBSE asked, how did Sadav help the American prisoner? So what? Fooding, clothing, watering, everything. Okay, these were the arrangements he had done. Bought secretly during the day, as well as 2 quilts he had brought from at that pawn shop. Okay, that pawn shop, from there he had bought that quilt. The boat he tied to a post in the water, for the tide was high and there was no moon, and he walked without flashlight. So it was what? That there was no moon, and he definitely walked without a flashlight. When he came to the house, he entered as though he were just back from his work, and so Hannah knew nothing. Yumi was here today. Okay, she said, Hannah said, as he served his supper, and though she was so modern, still she did not eat with him. And Yumi cried over the baby. She went on, okay, she went on with a sigh. She misses him so. Servants will come back as soon as the foreigner. Okay, Sadav said. He went into the guest room that night before he went to bed himself and checked carefully the American's temperature. He went to the guest room and he went to the American's temperature of the wound. So several times he had gone and he had served, he had checked what status of his wound and his body's temperature. His heart and the pulse was irregular, but that was perhaps because the excitement. So sometimes heart's pulse beats more, pulse was not in regular mode. Okay, but it was because what? Excitement, that he would go on. Young man's pale lips were pressed together and his eyes burned. Only what? What was visible? Only that? Only the scars on his neck were red. The scars on his neck that was visible, were red. I realize you are saving life again, he told Sadav. American prisoner confessed, okay, his contribution, and said that I realize that you are saving life again. Not at all, Sadav said. What? He said, it is only inconvenient to have you here any longer. It is only inconvenient, okay, unsuited to have you here any longer. It is not suited now. Whatever I have done, definitely I have done now. Definitely it's my job to save you, to let you to that. He had hesitated a good deal about giving the man a flashlight, but he had decided. So Sadav had given the flashlight. Darkness would help him to give it him after all. Okay. It was small one, his own. So flashlight was his small one. It was his own, which he used at night when he was called. if your food runs out before you catch a boat. See the line, if your food runs out before you catch a boat. Okay, so he said, signal me two flashes at the same instant. Question comes from here also. See there, if your food runs out, okay, then what you would do when you catch the boat? Then you would signal me twice. So two flashes you would actually flash that time. Instant the sun drops over the horizon. Do not signal the darkness. Okay, signal at the time of what? Clear sky. So at the darkness, don't do it. It would not be visible. So for it will be seen. Okay, do not signal in darkness. If you are all right but still there, signal me once. So these were the signal. This para is very important. Here Sadav had conversing with the American prisoner that if your food runs short, then what you do? You would signal me twice at the time of the horizons. If you signal, don't signal in darkness, and if you signal me once, then I would understand that you are all right. Okay, you will find fresh fish easy to catch, but you must eat them raw. Fire would be seen. Okay, the young man breathed. So he had what? That thanked him, thanked Dr. Sadav. He was dressed now in the Japanese clothes which Sadav had given him. The American prisoner was dressed in a Japanese clothes which Sadav had given. And at the last moment, Sadav wrapped a black cloth about his blonde head. He had wrapped, okay, covered a black cloth about his blonde head. Now Sadav said, young American without a word shook Sadav's hand warmly and then walked quite well across the floor and down the step into the darkness of the garden. Once, twice, okay, no problem. Sadav saw his light flash to find his way, but that would not be suspected. He waited until from the shore there was one more flash. So he had been waiting. See the para, young man without a word shook Sadav's head warmly, walked all across the floor down in darkness. Sadav saw his light flash to find his way, but that would not be suspected. He waited until the shore there was one more flash. Then he closed the partition that night and he slept. You say the man escaped. Now see, the general has come out. See the general. So general raised a question. You say the man escaped. Man had gone. General asked faintly, to whom? Dr. Sadav. He had been operated upon a week before, an emergency operation to which Sadav had been called on. So in a night actually, once week before, he had been called, Dr. Sadav was called before of that operation. For 12 hours Sadav had not been sure the general would leave. Okay, so he would leave or not? Dr. Sadav was not sure. Why? Because he had having the gall bladder. The gall bladder was much involved with the case. Then the old man had begun to breathe deeply again to demand food. Sadav had not been able to ask about the assassins. Now you can recapitulate, students, the assassination part. What general had already confirmed? That I would murder the American prisoner with the assassins. The assassin would come and then assassinate the American prisoner. No, don't take any problem. It's not worry. But with that days past, Dr. Sadav had already forgot, and general did not hide the assassins. So this part is totally what? Blank out. So as far as he knew that he had never come, the servants had returned and Yumi cleaned the guest room thoroughly and had burned the sulfur to get the white man's smell. You know that burning of the sulfur, American prisoner had been there so many days. So burning of the sulfur means that the smell would go out. Nobody had anything, only the gardener was cross because he had, cross means what? Angry. He had got behind with his chrysanthemums. See that? Chrysanthemums. Okay, chrysanthemums. What is that chrysanthemums? Very odd pronunciation. Chrysanthemums. See the chrysanthemums picture? It is that actually flower plant. Okay, so gardener had been waiting there and he was little bit worried. Chrysanthemums picture I would show you. See that here? Look at the chrysanthemums picture. Okay, check once. See, Okay. Kristen's mom's picture. Kristen's mom's picture. This is a flower. This is Kristen's mom's. Okay. Okay. Let's check once. But after a week, Sadao felt the gardener was all enough to be spoken to about the prisoner. Okay. Yes, Excellency, he escaped, Sadao now said. He coughed, signifying that he had not said, he might have said, but was unwilling to disturb the general further. But the old man opened his eyes suddenly. Okay, for today's class up to here. Next I would take your questions. You would take only one class. Okay, you would take only another class, and tomorrow I would not continue the same chapter. I would discuss the chapter. So tomorrow is very important day for you, because I would take the class in Google Meet. So whatever I have taught, so you could ask me question. It would be the interaction class. Any questions, any query that I would take tomorrow, and that next class it would take only one class. I would complete the whole text. That means the concluding part. Okay. So tomorrow don't miss the class. Tomorrow definitely I would take the class in Google Meet. So interaction part, whatever the fumbles, any questions, confusions, that I would take tomorrow and solve it. So whatever the questions you have, you can ask me now. Okay, up to here we have talked today. Suddenly, American prisoner has been described as American in the line, if the American were gone, okay, he then could. Yes, Americans had been discussed at the American, if American were gone. So Sada was thinking that American were gone, it would be better for him. American had gone, that means if American had gone, if he would escape from there, it would better. If he would not escape, that I would think something different. And what he had thought for that, he had arranged the boat so that American could reach that side. So Sada was waiting that American would go. It means firstly Sada had arranged all the things for the prisoner to go from there. Then he went to see the conditions of the American prisoner. Yes, American first Dr. Sadao had thought that American would let go by himself, would escape from there, but it was not possible for the American prisoner to escape from that place because he was totally unknown. So after that, Dr. Sadao had arranged everything as a kind-hearted person. Okay, he had arranged the boat and everything. Then he had gone to check the status of that American prisoner, his condition. Any more question, ask me. We are just very close to complete the text. No more questions, check one time. Tomorrow also you can ask me. Tomorrow in Google Meet your question. So read the text properly. Page number 44, last para. Okay. Let me discuss page number 44, last para. This one, if your food runs out before you catch a boat, this is your question, this is your para. If your food runs out before you catch a boat, food runs out means runs short. Okay, if your food runs out means food shortage of the food. Try to understand, runs out means shortage of the food before you catch a boat. He said, signal me 2 flashes at the same instant. If your food runs shot, then you signal me 2 flashes at the same instantly. The sun drops over the horizons. That means at the clear sky. Okay, light was visible. Then don't signal in darkness, because in darkness it was not visible. Okay, do not signal in darkness, for it will be seen. Okay, it will be seen means in darkness what? In darkness it was visible for everyone. Do not signal in darkness. Signal me 2 flashes same instant the sun drops. That the clear sky, then no problem. That I could understand only. If you signal at the darkness, so visible for everyone, so don't do in the darkness. If you are all right, still there, signal me once. If you are all right, then signal me once. If you will trouble, if the food shortage, then flash me only how many times? Twice. So 2 flashes means food runs short in danger. 1 flash means he is all okay with. Okay, and you will find the fish to catch, but you must eat from the rod. Fire would be seen. This is very important para that I said. 1 flashing, 2 flashing, signaling. How did Sadao help the American prisoner? This is important. So 6 marks long questions, definitely it comes from here. This year it is 5 marks. Okay, any more question, ask me. If you have any questions, students who are being with me, you can ask. Just check the text. What will Sadao do to get rid of the man? For those who can write all the arrangements done by Sadao to help who went back to the America. What will Sadao do to get rid of the man? For this, we can write all the arrangements done by Sadao. Yes, what will Sadao do? These answers are very crucial, very important. Please explain page number 45, third para. Okay, I'm explaining. Third para. You say the man escaped. This one I think. Okay, you say the man escaped. Is it your question? Is it your para? You say the man escaped. I think definitely this one is your para. You say the man escaped, the general asked faintly. So general here asks the question. You say the man escaped. Man had gone, fled. He had been operated upon a week before. Who had been operated upon a week before? An emergency operation to which Sadao had been called at night. The general. Okay. Here he means general had been operated upon a week because Sadao had been called for. I think you can memorize when one messenger came and informed Hena about that general condition is very critical. So there only Dr. Sadao was called to operate general, and for 12 hours Dr. Sadao had been sure the general would live. Was not sure about it. Dr. Sadao had not sure the general would live or not because his condition was very critical. What the condition actually inflicted with? Gallbladder involved with the case. Then the old man had begun to breathe deeply. Old man means Dr. General here, and then he demand food. Sadao had not been able to ask for about the assassins. So this is the tenure, this is the period in which Dr. Sadao was called to treat general because he was in danger. He was involving with the case of gallbladder. So when he had taken the breath with the help of Sadao, Sadao had not been able to ask the question about the assassins, murderers. He had totally forgotten. So far as he knew that he had never come. Okay, the servants had returned and Yumi had cleaned the guest room thoroughly and had burned the sulfur to get the white man smell out. What is the smell out? Because he was there, burning of the sulfur, that means it would let go to the smell. So nobody had said anything, only the gardener was cross because he had got behind with the Christmas. That is the actually planned. So Dr. Sadao forgot in between, he did not get the chance, and he thought that the American prisoner already in safe condition, so he had arranged everything. So it is not the right time to ask a question whether he has, why he did not actually taken care of the assassins, why he had not murdered. This question he did not ask to the general because general's condition was not good. He had been treated by Dr. Sadao 1 week ago. So now it is all are what that this is not the proper time, and these are the worthless, valueless asking why question. Understood? So Dr. Sadao arranged everything. So he thought it was improper to ask a question about the American prisoner. Earlier they had planned, earlier general had confirmed that he would actually arrange the assassins to kill American prisoner, but general condition was not good, period already had lapsed, and Dr. Sadao had arranged everything for the American prisoner to get away from him. So here up to for today's class, any more fumble, any more question, confusion, you will definitely ask me tomorrow. The class I will take in Google Meet. So any more confusion, any questions, you can ask me tomorrow. I will give the answer of those questions. Okay, no problem, no more questions. Thank you students for being with me for today's class. Have a nice day.